But before I move into event submissions, are there any questions on that particular form? Great. Well, if you have any, feel free to let me know, and we'll move right into submitting your event. So like Matt showed y'all, on our event calendar here in the middle, we have so many events across all the lakes. And this is such a great feature for our site because we really want people to be involved in that local community, and even people visiting get to experience that as well. So all of these events that are submitted through this form will go to our event calendar once they are reviewed. So on this form, there's quite a few more fields to fill out as opposed to the business form, but you'll start with the title. And for this example, we are actually going to fill out a submission form for a fishing tournament. So you can see I got very creative with the title here, fishing tournament. But if it is, the 11th annual crappie fishing tournament and has a name, you would fill that out, not just the generic title. Next thing is the description. Again, recommend 3 to 5 sentences, but for a lot of the events, you'll get a little bit more wordy with your explanations and descriptions, just because there might be a little bit more involved in, registering, especially if it's a tournament. But for this example, it's about 3 to 5 sentences. You won't want to include the date and time, costs, and other things in the description because you'll fill that out in later fields. That's just something to keep in mind. The next is the date and time. So for this example, just make sure that your year is correct, because if you're like me, that would be the one thing that you forget and you go to the calendar and it's not there, and it's because it's in the wrong year. So make sure that that year is correct and you select your month here and your day. The next thing you'll do is select your end date. And for this example, it's actually going to be the day after. So this is a 2-day event and it'll end on the 23rd. So I'll just look that over. Everything's good. If I wanted to select a start time and an end time, I could by selecting numbers here and then selecting AM or PM. But for this example, I'm actually going to make this an all-day event. If there are any notes on time, you can specify those here. For example, if somebody's participating in this tournament, I might want to specify that tournament anglers should get to this event at this time, as opposed to people who are spectators. And you might want to specify that notes on the time there. So feel free to use that as well. If you want to hide the event time altogether, you can. And if you want to hide the event time in time, you can as well. For countdown method, we always recommend selecting count to event start. This gives the option for people to see how many days they have until your event, which is always really exciting to scroll through the calendar and see the countdown from event to event. Next thing you'll do, if this is a repeating event, this is very important to select event repeating. So for my example, obviously this is just a one-time event, except for the exception of it being next year. But if you were to have an event that you're submitting that occurs weekly or monthly, this would be the field that you would fill out. I know, for example, Gary Grenada has Picking by the Lake and a couple other really fun things that are weekly and monthly. So this will be something that you fill out for events like that occur repeatedly. I will just fill this out just to show you guys the options that you have. If this did repeat and we wanted to make this a every weekday occurrence or a certain weekday, I could select certain weekday. If it's every Tuesday, I'll select Tuesday. And even if there's multiple days of the week, I could select more than one. And I'll scroll down and you have the option here. It says ends repeat, and it either never ends or it ends on a certain day. So going back to the example of Picking on the Lake, if you have this event that happens every Tuesday for pretty much the whole year, but in December it ends because it gets too cold. You can say that it will end on December 7th and make that selection there. And that just becomes really handy. That way you don't have to submit multiple entries back to back to back to make sure this thing gets on the calendar every week, but you can actually do that one time and be done with it. So feel free to use that feature as well. Also, you have the option if you wanted to create an event that occurs every Tuesday, but it only occurs 10 Tuesdays of the year, or it only occurs 8 Tuesdays, you could actually select after how many days it occurs. So occurrence times 6 or 5, you could select anything. All right, so next field is event main location. For every entry, you want to select insert a new location, and that will drop down these other fields that you'll fill out. For location name, they already have a few examples here for City Hall and then another address. But for our example, I'm going to copy a couple things over. This event will take place at Brown's Landing, which is the location name. And then I will actually insert the address below. So the whole purpose of the event name is just to give an option for people to see not only the address, but the name of the building it's at, or the name of the boat ramp, or what have you. That just gives an option to make it easier for people to recognize where they're going. I do not have an actual street location for this. I have latitude and longitude, but if you were to have a street address, you would just input the street number, name of the street, city, state, and zip as you would normally do. But for latitude and longitude, I will input that information here. Now for location website, if I wanted to copy over a Google Maps link of the actual location itself, I could do that. And I actually do have a Google Maps link here. And if I had a picture of the location, I could upload that as well, but that is not necessary or required. Now the next field is event main organizer. So this is the event organizer section. And again, you'll want to select insert a new organizer. The next thing you'll do is fill out the name. And once again, I got extremely creative for you guys. And the name is Joe Fish. So that is our organizer, and his phone number is also extremely creative as well. And we fill in some more things like his email, which is always handy. And then you'll notice underneath that is actually linked to an organizer page. So this isn't something that you'll always have, but every now and then you'll have an event that does have an organizer page. A lot of the times it is a Facebook page. So, or if it's a page on a website, but a lot of the times it is Facebook. So I'll link that here to this Facebook page as well. If you have a photo of the organizer, you can include that here by uploading. Only a few more fields to fill out. The next is event cost. You can add your cost here by selecting these up and down arrows, or you can type it in. I do not recommend going all the way up to 100 by clicking this, but so feel free to type in your cost as well. Your featured image you can select here. And once again, those specifications for images are the same as with the whole rest of the site as well. 960 by 600 pixels and 72 DPI. And if you have any issues, again, let us know. But I will upload a photo here, our tournament photo. And that is ready to go. I know that that's loaded because I can see the name of the photo here, so we are good. Great. Look at that. That guy looks pretty familiar, doesn't he?
What an ugly guy, but a great looking woman.
The last field to fill out before submitting this form is the labels field. This is arguably the most important because you are attaching a lake to this event. So again, like Dan said, you can select more than one lake. Some of these have Sardis and Enid because the Enid because they are right in the middle of both lakes. So that is totally fine. But for this example, I'll just select Grenada because the event is on Grenada Lake. So once I have all of my fields complete, I will submit the event at the bottom. And I recommend just double checking everything before you submit, because I've submitted plenty of these and there's always something that needs to be changed. Oh, forgot to fill out our cost. We'll do a whopping $1 for our event cost. How about that? All right, so I've submitted and I should see a page that says we're good to go unless something happened. Oh, event submitted. It will publish as soon as possible. So important to note that anytime you've submitted a form, like I said before, it will go to our team to be reviewed. So be sure not to jump straight over to that event calendar. It will need a little bit of time to review it, and we'll contact you if we have any questions as well. So that pretty much concludes our submit your event portion and submit your business.